What's up, everybody? It's Helen Edwards with the Sexy Freedom Media podcast. And today is a returning guest, my dear friend, Ryan Frye. What's up, Ryan?
What's up? Going on, Helen? How are you?
Oh, man, really good. It's really good to see you. You mentioned something about your tooth.
Yeah, so this morning I got a tooth pulled. I had I guess you call it a bad tooth or something in the back. So they pulled that out. So I got some gauze in my mouth and I'm probably talking a little funny. And then right now it's storming like crazy here in Phoenix. So we just had this huge thunderbolt just hit right now. So
Oh, I think I heard it. It was like boom, boom.
yeah. Yeah, so
That's
there's a lot
awesome.
going on, over in Phoenix. Yeah.
I love the storms there. I miss
Yeah,
it
it's
so much.
we haven't had them for a few years, like this anyway, and like just the last 24 hours, it's been going nuts. So
Yeah, I heard the monsoons were crazy this summer.
yeah, good though. Kind of cools it off a little bit.
It's kind of funny because when I was traveling, I came across a lot of people who were like, monsoons, what are those? Because they don't know storms is monsoons. They know storms is storms. So
Yeah,
I was like, yeah, I guess that makes sense. You know, we had to name ours.
yeah. When I first moved to the valley, I didn't know what they were either, and everybody's talking about haboobs, and I remember it was like
Oh,
my first 24 hours in the valley, and I was in a restaurant. I was eating, and the news stations were just going nuts. It was whatever, monsoon 2010, all this stuff, and it freaked me out because I never lived in a place where they thought so highly of their storms. You know what I mean?
yeah. Yeah, it's so funny.
Yeah.
So I saw, gosh, so much to catch up on. I think the last time I saw you was on Christmas, right? Like last year, a year ago? No,
Yeah,
this
yeah,
this last one,
Christmas.
right?
This last Christmas, yep.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
we
what's
we did
what's been
the
new with you?
shocking
Tell everybody
thing.
who you are, what you're about.
Okay, yeah, my name is my given name is Ryan Frye. My stage name is The Set Free, and that's what I go by when I write and produce my personal music. I also do a podcast, and the podcast goes by Set Free, a mind well traveled. And that podcast encompasses rather musicians, people from all walks of life. And really it's just a free form podcast. Sorry, I'm tripping out because I got this gauze in my mouth. I feel like
It's
this is not my
okay.
normal this is not my normal speaking voice, people. Um, but yeah, so there's kind of a lot going on. So during COVID, so I started the podcast uh, through Helen. Helen taught me how to do podcasting, and I don't do it on such a great level that she does. It's very rudimentary, but I did it, and I took that leap because she pushed me to take the leap. And it's been doing, to me, it's a success because it continues to go. Right, I'm not making a ton of money. I'm not doing um, anything, what would be described as like a huge success, but to me it's a success because I continuously am recording podcasts and am having people on, and it's gone from people who are my friends that I know to people that I never thought I would ever meet in my entire life, that were like, inspirations to me in my childhood, that now I have recordings with them, and so it's been like a labor of love. But first and foremost, aside from that, I'm a musician. I've been a musician my whole life, and the podcast allowed me to get in touch with some people that helped me further my music during the pandemic. So during the pandemic, it was a crazy time. Everybody had to stay home. I stayed home. I took some songs that I wrote and I passed them off to some friends, and we created these songs, and now they're out in the world. They're on YouTube, they're on Spotify, they're on Apple Music, basically everywhere you can find music. You can find the songs that I've written, which was another huge success for me. Again, it's not like I'm not raking in money, but I'm able to put forward my art in a fulfilling way, you know.
Mhm.
And that has led to like some crazy stuff. Like I can't really describe it. Like, people have gotten my phone number. I've gotten phone calls from bands that are coming through town. Like, you know, it's Wednesday, we'll be there on Friday. Can you play drums for us? And I'm like, yeah, sure, you know, whatever. And so I've gotten some drum gigs, which is what I do, what I've done for like 30 years, play drums. So the music's going well, the podcast is going well. And then during the pandemic, I chose to take another leap of faith and go to hair school. So I'm like 3/4 of the way done with cosmetology school.
Woo! That's amazing. That's
Yeah. So I'm
amazing.
just, you know, I owe a lot of this drive to you, because never meeting you, I had a lot of drive, but you really kind of like put it out there into the world. Like, hey man, like, you're a talented individual and you could do this. And here's a couple of things that you might be missing. And instead of like, you know, like trying to charge me and like, you know, all these things, like, you just like shared some wisdom and some faith and some, you know, some cool things with me, and kind of left it up to me to kind of run with it, you know. And there's been a bunch of start stops along the way, but things now, it's like a machine. Like, there's a lot of things that are like just chugging, and whether
Right?
I want to or not, you know, it's just going, you know. And so it's been rad. In this last year, in particular, there's been a lot of struggles too, you know, not just with the pandemic, but like a lot of personal struggles, a lot of things that have been going on that that have cropped up amongst what I deem to be success in my life. And it's made it a lot easier to kind of navigate those struggles, because I have all these things to pour myself into. And, you know, some of this stuff is pretty big and scary. And, but being able to be busy, and then not only busy, but productive and positive, and doing something positive, and when there's a lot of negative forces, putting all that pressure and all that stuff on me, I was able to kind of turn that into fuel, and turn it around into a positive thing, through all the art, and through all the things all the endeavors that I've got going on. And what comes out of that is like success, you know what I mean? Like, high pressure with some natural occurring elements creates diamonds, you know what I'm saying? And like,
Yes.
that's really kind of what I feel. It's like there's been a lot of high pressure, not natural elements in me, natural abilities, and it's creating successes. And it's only up to me to like nurture that and continue to be on that positive plane, you know, and just kind of push forward with that. And I'm always big up in you too, like. And this is I just want, like, I think I told you about this. I think this is how we just recently got connected. But I was asked to be on another podcast, and I'm always meeting these people where I'm like, man, you got to meet my friend Helen, because like, just you're a positive force in the world, and the world needs a lot more of that, you know. And there's a lot of us out there that, you know, I think even you, when you talk about your early days of doing things, like, you had some self-doubt and some, you know, and we could be sitting on one of the most magnificent things, and we're not sharing it because we have this self-doubt, you know. And sometimes it just takes like a good positive friend to come along and kind of give you that last little nudge that you want, you know. And like I said, as a result, like, dude, unbelievable. Like, I just played on a stage, you know, over 1,000 people have played out to sold out marquee theater here in Phoenix, opening for Bone Thugs and Harmony last week. Like,
Yeah, I saw your pictures. That was
yeah,
awesome.
that was a trip, you know. And I'm getting some opportunities to record and to do some future tours that are coming up once everything's kind of really getting back open again. And you know, the podcast, like I said, I've talked to some of my heroes and had deep, like, meaningful conversations about not just like music and stuff, but life things. You know, I've heard some things from like, there's one guy in particular that I want to talk about for a second, because this person and this band, you know, was super hugely influential to me as a kid. Like I remember, you know, first time I heard the band, and like it kind of shaped a lot of like what I ended up doing in life with music. And this guy was like larger than life to me. And through tenacity and through just like ballsiness, really, you know what I mean? And social media, like I just reached out. I was like, yo, I got a podcast. I want you to be on it. I think it'd be great. And I feel as if it was the way that I approached it, because a lot of like what has gone on with, yes, it's been a lot of work, but it's been a lot of like mental work, right? So mentally, I'm thinking like, I want this dude to be on my podcast. Not only do I want it, but it's going to happen. And then I reach out, and that's kind of how all this stuff is, you know. And a lot of people say like The Secret and like Abraham's Law and all this stuff is like mumbo jumbo, you know, like attracting or manifesting your life. But I've done it. So I can't really say that it's not real. You know what I mean? It is real, because manifestation, you know what I mean? It's like, I think it, I put it into action, I take that action, and then it happens. You know what I mean? It's really, really simple. It does take work, but it's really, really simple. But it's mind blowing, dude. Like mind blowing. The people that I've worked with on my music, where I remember saying to myself like 15 years ago, I would love to work with that guy, or I would love to like play music with that dude. And now they're on my record. I'm like, what?
That's so crazy. Oh
You
man,
know?
that's kind of how I felt with Juana Sperling when she was on my podcast, the lead of JJ Fad. I was like, oh my God, I'm talking to JJ Fad. And she was so cool, so down to earth. She has other endeavors than just her music, and she was just a real person. And that was really cool. So I totally know what you mean. That's law of attraction, whatever anybody wants to call it. Like I always say, like attracts like. You're gonna, whatever you put out, it's gonna come back. Your thoughts, your money, your voice, your words. It's very empowering.
Yeah. I mean, I'll even go a little step further. I don't even know who's gonna watch this or whatever, or listen to this, or you know, but like on a personal level, like I was going through some things where I wasn't able to see my children for a while, and it was getting pretty hairy, like where, you know what I mean? Like I'm dealing with courts, and I'm dealing with false accusations and things that are hard to prove, you know, and all this stuff. And like, and through work and through everything else, like through, you know, tenacity and sticking to it and positivity and doing the next right thing. And like, and just, you know, trying to be as good as I can. Like now they're back. They're sitting in the other room right now. They're with me.
Oh.
You know.
Yeah. I remember
like,
that.
you know.
Oh man, I got to tell you something. So I was kind of going through some old videos and pictures because I was scanning through for some of my brother, and I came across some old videos of me going out with all my friends, and you were in one of the videos, and there's a video of you and Leah talking. I mean, obviously all three of us had a night out and we were a little tipsy, but you got real deep. And I think that's something that we connected on when we first met and in the video, I'll have to send it to you, but basically you're telling Leah that you have a plan for your life. And in 7 years, you're saying in the video, in 7 years, something big is going to happen. You don't know what, but it's deep. And that video was shot in 2017. And then I don't know if you remember this too, but I found a picture, and it's so funny because again, we were at the bar. We like our nights out. I took well, I don't know who took the picture, but it's a little blurry, of us writing on napkins to each other. Do you remember that?
I do remember that.
I found it.
No, you didn't. Really?
It's hard to read. It's something about us like giving each other, it was like a bet or something, like $10 plus 10% after if there's a movie made after me, if you become like a barber author, and something else says Mexican, I'm not sure, but I was like, and I don't know because it's so blurred, but it's funny because I was like, oh my gosh, I remember that. I remember when we were just, you know, spitting ideas and dreams and goals and just talking about where we wanted to be. And then now I see where we're at, and I'm just like everything you were just saying, you know, just those thoughts manifesting.
Well, yeah, I mean, you and I have equally in our own right been going pretty hard, you know, since the day we met. Like I think there was, you know, like that drive, like what you say, like, you know, I think the initial, this is going to sound funny, but like we had an initial meeting, you know, kind of kicked it a little while, and then we you know, kind of parted ways. And I was like, oh, you know, we'll probably never see each other again, whatever, just because like that's the way life is, you know what I mean?
Right.
But lo and behold, you know, you and I have popped in and out of each other's lives over the last, you know, forever now at this point. And it's become a great friendship, and it's a constant reminder of to keep on pushing, you know. And there, like, I even thought about you, like, when I'm going through some of these things this last year, because I was like, you know, you're actually a huge inspiration in that way, because during the process of you climbing to get, you know, to do what you've been doing, it hasn't been easy either. It hasn't been without struggle. There have been a lot of, you know, pitfalls and things along the way, and times when you probably could have quit, you know, times when you probably could have like been like, F this, dude, like, and you didn't, you know. And so I thought about those moments too, because yes, a lot of times when we were together, they were good times of celebrations, but a lot of times we were talking about some heavy, deep things and some struggles and stuff. So, you know, it's funny that, because until you mentioned those things, I didn't remember doing, you know, writing on those napkins or even that conversation with Leah. But I do remember having that feeling inside, you know, and still having that feeling like I'm not done yet, you know.
Yeah, totally.
And having that understanding that there's more to life, and this goes for everybody, you know, there's more to life than just punching the clock. And if you're even if you're at your job, you know, or your career, and it's what you did, you know, what you're meant to be doing, you can also get bogged down by that too. You know, I know a lot of people that were, you know, super happy in their careers a year and a half ago, and now, you know, they're feeling bogged down in all this. You just have to remember, you know, and get back to that feeling of like, okay, I'm meant for something. And maybe you're meant to do the taxes of 20,000 people at H&R Block, and that's your deal. You know what I mean? But, you know, maybe you're not. And if you're not feeling fulfilled, search, you know, do a little searching, like do that scary thing, that jump off, you know what I mean? That edge of the cliff moment where you're like, I don't know if I should do this, but I'm going to do it because I can't otherwise, you know?
Yeah.
You know, and that's
many
the
moments
thing
like that.
Yeah.
Many moments like that where I was like, fuck it, I'm doing it. Fuck it, I'm doing it, you know? And I swear on fuck it, because that's how I got my beginning big jumps. I mean, now it's not so much fuck it, it's more like, wait, let's think strategically about this, because you know, I've got so much I've built. I can't just be like, fuck it now. Like, I got stuff to protect, you know?
Right. But in a way, there's still that fuck it mentality, you know. And if you look at it too, like a lot of people would say I'm crazy, you know what I mean? Like just off of meeting me the first time, maybe the energy, you know, what I'm doing, how busy I am or whatever. I think a lot of people maybe would say that about you at one point in your life. You know, but the fact of the matter is I look at that too, and I go, yeah, I am a little bit crazy to do these things, but I'm going to be crazy happy at the end of it. And then the whole thing about it too is like, how many times in my life did I look at something that was harmful and say, fuck it, I'm going to do it. You know what I mean? Like, you know, so why not take a moment and look at this thing that's on the other side of the ledge, you know, that's good for me, and say, fuck it, I'm going to do it. A lot of times more people are more scared of their potential and more scared to win than they are to lose. They would rather lose 10 times than win one time. You know, isn't that nuts?
Yeah, it's nuts, super nuts to me. I think that's one of the things that I realized when I first began this journey, is kind of stepping back and seeing that in myself. And I was like, no, there's some wiring in my brain that I need to rewire, and I will work my ass off to rewire it, because I don't want to think like that. And I know one of the big game changers for me was going to, my friend Jessica got me a ticket to one of these like stock, you know, become a stockbroker kind of person, make lots of money on the internet way back in the day, like 16 years ago. And I didn't learn stocks that day, but what I did learn is what he said. He said, 2% of you are going to go home and actually make something and do something, become successful. But only
Yeah.
1% of that 2% is going to follow through all the way to the end. And I just thought, I want to be at least in the 2%, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was just, it was like at that moment, something turned on and it was like this competitive edge, because I've always been competitive. And I was like, I'm going to do this, you know? And that's what got it
Yeah.
for me. That was my click.
Well, that's the trip part about it too, is like, there's a lot of things, you know, even in hair school, cosmetology school, they throw out that percentage, like in your first week, you know what I mean? You're sitting in a room, and for me, it was like a room of like 12 people, you know, and they're like, they gave that percentage, like only 1% of you, you know, or whatever is going to do anything with this. Even less than that are going to get your license. You know what I mean? You might fall through school, but then, you know, only half will get the license, and only one will continue to like go on and be a hairstylist, barber, and all this stuff. And I was like, I don't know. I was still doubting the math, you know. And now I'm looking at the kids who are still with me. Kids, some of them are kids, some of them I'm an adult, you know what I mean? But I'm looking at the people that are still with me, and I'm like, damn, it's pretty true, you know. There's probably like 3 of us that started together that are still doing it. So yeah, you know, and maybe it's just not the right time for certain people to do certain things. Maybe that you know, there's been many, like I said, start and stops in my life too, where oh, I'm being interrupted
by the monsoon.
Can you see my face?
No, but I could see your name.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't know what to do here. My screen's acting funny, but as long as you can
It's
hear
okay.
me, I'm gonna keep
Sure,
going.
keep talking.
Yeah, so I kind of lost my train of thought, but like, you know, maybe it's not the right time for certain people to do the jump off, but as long as you keep persevering, you know, that day will come, you know. So
yeah. No, I get
how
that.
are you? I feel like I talked a lot.
No, man, I love it. I love this conversation. Things are super great over here. I made a big move recently. I hired a branding specialist / VA, and she's, you know, to the standard of priciness. It's back in the day, it would have been like, no way, there's no way I can afford her. But it's so crazy. I can tell how much my mindset has shifted with my ability to handle investments now. Because when she told me her pricing, I was like, okay, cool. And then I just interviewed a few other people and I was like, she's the one I want. And, you know, I remember this like consciousness out of body experience I had. I looked at me like, wow, you have changed, woman. You used to be somebody I'd get tight, you know, I'd feel weird, especially when it came down to talking about finances. I mean, just like 2 years ago, I was that person. And now I'm like, okay, I want you and you're worth it. And I got the money. Let's do this, you know? So
Yeah.
I want the best of the best. And this year was all about leveling up for me. I wanted to take my brand and level up with it. You know, do something different than I've, you know, like I posted recently, if you always do what you always did, you always get what you always got. So do something different, right? Make some moves. So I realized like everything I talk about, and you know this, everything I talk about, everything I teach, I got to practice what I preach. So I really try hard to do that. And this is yet another opportunity for me to practice that, not really to show off to other people, but to prove it to myself that, you know, not only was it about leveling up this year, it was also about focusing on abundance and prosperity financially. And I realized I do a lot. I'm putting a lot out there. And I'm watching people who just started doing what I've been doing for 13 years plus, do it for 1 year and then make, you know, thousands or hit 1 million with their business. And I realized, okay, there's something I'm missing here. And, you know, maybe I need to shift my focus into my relationship with money and see where I'm kind of having some turbulence with it. So in the beginning of this year, I really focused on that, did some work. And then I decided to go forward again with a new relationship with money, a new relationship with abundance and prosperity. And And it's crazy because what you put out will come, and it did. And I realized she's the one I wanted to work with, and I'm going to pay her whatever she wants, and I'm going to make this happen. And we spoke the same language about abundance and prosperity. She's going to take my business to a whole new level. I'm super excited about that. And I really felt like it was probably the first time ever that I invested without feeling this like weirdness in my body or self-doubt in my, in my mind. I really felt strong and powerful about it. And that definitely revealed to me that I've changed quite a bit, which is good. Has that happened to you before?
It has. Yeah. I was, I talked a lot about it as being like my relationship with money as well, because my whole life has always been scared of money. You know what I'm saying? Like saying I want it, obviously, you know what I mean? But scared of it, and scared that as quick as I would get it, it would go away, and things like that. And it was bizarre because I experienced something like that. The minute I changed how I thought about money seemed to just always come. I was like,
yeah.
I'm like, okay, shit, like,
okay, let's do this.
yeah,
I'll dance with you, money.
Right. And it really was about my relationship with it, because, and I'm still learning that. I'm still learning how to invest properly, and I'm still learning how to let go a little bit, because I do still push and pull with that inner self a little on that aspect. But yeah, I mean, as soon as I remind myself of that, there was days I'd be like, I'm going to make this today. And I'd make that. And I would be like to a cent, like a cent above or below of exactly what I said, in like seemingly insurmountable circumstances where I'm like, there's no, you know what I mean? Like, ain't no way I'm gonna make that. But I never said that. You know what I mean? But just put that out in the world, like, that's what's gonna happen, and it would happen. And there was work involved, of course, but yeah, you know what I mean? Like, that's a huge part of it too. It's trying to be self-sustainable is having the proper relationship with financial gain and expenditure. You know what I mean? And it goes back to like the old adage, it takes money to make money, kind of a thing, which it does, but that never made sense to me. You can't just willy-nilly like go out just like making it rain on everybody, you know what I mean? But I think as it's almost like a carousel that kind of spins upward in life, where if you're not careful, you could just spin around in circles, and you're going to miss that on ramp onto the next level, because you get bogged down with a lot of things. But as you go and you start to learn these things and like these little tricks and just ways of being and thinking, and you kind of you move up on the next little loop, and there's like people there and all those people on that level, and you start hanging out and talking to those folks, and you're like, I can't believe I'm talking to these people. Oh my God. You know what I mean? And then the next thing you know, it's like they're your peers, and then you're all kind of like rising to the next thing, and then and that's the way it is, because there's people on different tiers, because they've come and done the things that we've done before, and then we get a chance to sit with them for a minute, and pick their brain, or talk about their business model, or whatever, and they're willing to help, and that's why it is kind of like a weird like I think notoriety, or if you want to call it fame, or if you want to call it like riches or whatever, it always seems to people from the outside looking in that it's like a club, and it's not that exclusive as it looks to be. You just got to put the work in to get to those levels. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying like I want paparazzi, running around taking my picture. What I'm saying is like, my version, my idea of my, when I can relax and my time of success would be to be at certain levels where There are folks, you know, running away from paparazzi. That's not what I want, but I want that level of success in my life where, you know, the band is always working. The podcast always has a guest on it. There's music always being done, you know, or what have you. Like,
yeah,
where my name means something ultimately in my field, I guess is what I'm trying to say. You know, and that can sound a little like egotistical or whatever, but it wouldn't if you were inside my head. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right. No, and I think that's really strong for you to say, because, you know, there's a difference between a narcissistic God like person saying, this is what I want, and then somebody who's humble and seeing the dream and coming from a place of not ever having that and saying, I can see it. That's what I want. It's possible. Like I could see what you're saying here, because that's kind of how I feel too. I never wanted fame or, I did want lots of money though. I wanted lots of money because I knew what it was like to be super broke.
yeah.
You know, so I definitely put that out there. I definitely want to be a millionaire. I definitely want to have peace. I wanted peace for a long time. The crazy thing is that I'm not a millionaire yet, but I'm on my way there. But the peace part, I actually got everything I wanted last year. Everything. I realized everything I ever wanted. I've traveled the world. I've got, you know, my kid's grown. He's doing great. We're writing a book together. I'm an author. Like, I'm successful. Everything's really great. But then it's like, there's something in me that's just calling to me. Like, it's like, I'm not done with you, Helen. I'm not done with you. Like, there's more for you to give to this world. You know, you can't just sit in your peace bubble. Like, you're supposed to go out there and help others. And there's so many times I fought it through my life. I've heard the calling since a kid, but it's just gotten stronger as I've gotten older and wiser. I'll just say wiser. But I know, you know, and I'm not gonna lie, I've tried drinking it away. I've tried dancing it away. I've tried ignoring it. I've tried traveling and getting away from it. But no matter where I go, there it is. And I've learned to start to listen and realize that the work that I'm called to do is not easy. It's hard. It's hard as fuck. And it's going to require me to, you know, put my emotions aside, my feelings aside. So that way, you know, I could go do whatever I'm called to do. Like, it's crazy. I do believe there's a bigger spiritual, universal aspect out there that calls to many of us, and it's asking us to do these things. And I really feel like I watch a lot of videos on things that horrible things that happen to people around the world, including kids in our country and kids in all different countries. I've always kind of done that. And I think it's because it reminds me to keep going and keep following the calling, because I'm an adult and I'm capable of doing something. I'm in a country that, you know, is a great country that I'm able to do these things and help others, whereas some countries people are not able to. So that's where I'm at. You know, although I've got this business, this Sexy Freedom brand going, it's amazing. There's also a part of me that's ready to also expand, you know, the business financial part of that to help more, to do more. And I think that's why I want to make so much money.
Well, that's the other thing. I mean, you've always been like a voice of the people and like for the people. You know what I'm saying? Like, even with your book, like there was an emancipation of sorts. Like, I think even from people that I was like, hey, you got to check this thing out. And it gave other, and I've never read the book. You know what I mean? You know, but I would always, you know, tell, you know, women in my life, like, hey, you should check this out. And, you know, even down to my own mother, I think they were like, wow, whoo, you know, like, there's a lot of freedom in that. And I think you're destined to do that, you know, in many different ways. And you'll continue to do that for as long as you can. I think that's the thing that's kind of uniting between the two of us, is there's that like never gonna stop mentality no matter what. Just keep on pushing, you know. And years and years ago, I had this little Reiki session with some random dude. Like I was in a shopping, I was in like a grocery store, and this guy comes up to me and he's like, dude, I can feel your aura from like way over the opening of the store. And I was like, whatever, you know, and he's like talking to me and all this stuff. And he goes, he's like, yeah, there's a woman with you right now. And I was like, what are you talking about? He's like, yeah, she's a little shorter than you and all this other stuff. And he like described my great aunt who had just passed away like a couple days before. And she was apparently with me. And yeah, anyways, long story short, I go to his house and he's like performing Reiki on me. And he goes, he's like, you're a natural teacher. You just don't even know it yet. You don't know, you know, how to, all these things. And, you know, years have passed and I've ended up doing different things in different ways, like through men's groups or, you know, with the podcast where, and, you know, this isn't something I always think about, but it's like, I'm kind of allowing and teaching people how to just open up through conversation. And, you know, I'm getting huge feedback off of it of people being like, man, that was so amazing. And all we did was have like a conversation. And I think that's a lot of what has been missing. And maybe even COVID has brought to light how even in a fast-paced world with everything going on, like people are still so alone and don't know how to get outside themselves. Then they were forced to be with themselves, like, you know, maybe a select few other folks for an entire year, and that tripped people out, you know. And so I think all of this is about bringing humanity closer, you know, and helping out in that way, like whatever it is. Could be a cup of rice, could be a conversation, it could be, you know, it could be, you know, dropping, you know, rations to a war-torn country, like who knows, you know what I mean? But even the littlest thing helps, you know. So
definitely through the arts. I've seen a lot of art pop up lately. I mean, bigger. I like watching documentaries, so I'm always seeing how it was, you know, with the people before us who basically fought or stood for the arts to come into fruition, like or more be expanded for all of us to have the rights to do, you know, both men and women, you know, all ethnicities, all cultures. And now we're seeing the explosion of art, music, you know, poetry, songs, you know, authors, writers, drummers, everything. The arts are just so, it's so beautiful. And I'm trying to dig into this more because in my free time, I like to see what exactly the connections are. And maybe you probably know more about this, the connections of music with like sound vibration. Did you ever hear about that book? Oh my gosh, I don't remember the author's name, but the writer was talking about how sound made these little ice, it made patterns in ice, or do you know what I'm talking about? It's also called systematics or something like that.
Well, it's like
I could be totally butchering this.
Yeah, like the mechanics of it all was like certain sound waves actually created unique different designs in the ice as it froze. And as you know, probably like the body is 80% water, you know, so we absorb vibrations and sound. And that's a lot of where our, you know, what they call like a sixth sense, you know what I mean, is that internal freak out, if you will, you know what I mean, like when you feel the hair stand up on the back of your neck or whatever, in good or bad times, it's like a vibration, something coming across, you know. And like that's why like the sound of a heartbeat to a baby, to the, you know, the mother's heartbeat to a baby is actually like, you know, can be soothing, you know, or what have you, or the father, you know, whoever was whatever. But it all, you know, you can make water jump by playing music, you know, on a speaker. And that's what's happening inside the body is like, and they actually studied this stuff. The government studied this stuff back in the day about like frequencies and how you can make a bunch of people like at a concert, like do something, you know what I mean? And that's why, like, if you go to like a metal show or whatever, like people really want to run and do the slam dance or whatever, you know what I mean? That's what that's what that music, you know, that's what that vibration, you know, induces or whatever. So it's real deep. I don't know all the science behind it, but yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's true. You know, it's something real. You know, we really are the aliens, and we don't study ourselves enough. You know.
Right. No, I definitely 100%. There's so much to study, so much to learn. And
Mhm.
sometimes I'm just like, it's so overwhelming because the other day I was just thinking randomly, random thoughts, because that's what I do. I was like, whoa, like my skin, this is so weird. It's like, it, it's shedding all the time, and it's like
Yeah.
I'm a snake. And it just tripped me out, and I was sitting there, no drugs, no alcohol, tripping on the skin on my body, like really tripping out. Like I was like
Yeah.
looking at it, and I was trying to look deeper. I was having my own little trip session because I'm Helen Edwards. I do that shit, but it really freaked me out, and it expanded my mind, and my mind was like blown by the smallest little thing.
That's elevated consciousness right there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
Mhm.
I mean, I did the same thing on a smaller scale. Like I was tripping out last night doing a bunch of research on the difference between highways, freeways, and interstates. I was like, wait a minute. So what's the difference here? You know what I mean? And I went down a rabbit hole, but I could tell you all about it. But that's for like another podcast. The road construction
Oh, I love
podcast that
it.
I'm on later this week. No, just kidding. But
Yeah, our next episode will be on all the things we tripped on.
yeah.
No, that's
No, it's
cool though.
funny.
Now,
No, but like the skin is actually the body's largest organ. You know, it's
yes.
like it's an organ, I
Yeah.
guess, what they say.
Yeah. That's what the scientists say. I believe
Yeah,
them.
yeah. I'll do
Yeah,
a
man.
little shameless. So I got a sponsor, clothing sponsor, and it's really cool. It's locally owned, but they're doing big things. They're over in Europe. It's called Original Street Life. The artist who does the designs on the clothing is El Moises from New Mexico. You should check him out. His art is phenomenal. And then yeah, but check out originalstreetlife.com for anything hood. You know, it's real cool looking stuff.
Is it on Instagram?
Yeah, Instagram for sure. There's a website as well, and you can also find El Moises on Instagram. Also, he's
El
done a lot of
Moises.
murals. Yeah, he's done a lot of murals. Actually, the mural that's outside Otro Cafe with the big Latino
Yeah, the
Chicano
big
mural.
Aztec.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
that's him. So you've seen
Okay.
his work. You've seen his work.
I
Yeah, he's
have.
done. Yeah, he's phenomenal. So yeah, anybody
That's really
watching,
cool.
check out that stuff.
Congratulations on the
Yeah,
sponsorship.
yeah,
That's pretty awesome. Oh man, I'm so excited to just see where we are even a year from now.
yeah,
I know big things are coming. I'm excited
yeah.
about it.
We got to keep doing this. Let's make it an annual thing.
For sure. So before I wrap this up, is there anything else you want to tell anybody about you? Anything coming up? Where do they find you at?
You can find me at thesetfree.com. Also, the Set Free, or it's Set Free Entertainment on Facebook. I'm also Set Free 1383 on Instagram. That's my personal one. Set Free Hair Design. So everything, pretty much everything Set Free. You can find it all on Instagram, Facebook, and yeah, there's more music coming down the line. There's going to be a lot of shows, a lot of cool shows coming up. We're going to be doing some stuff in October with B-side players from San Diego. And actually, if anybody's in the Phoenix area on July 30th, I'll be up at State 48 Rock House in Norterra playing. And so you can check out live music there. And then, yeah, the Set Free podcast of Mind Well Traveled, check back for season 2. It's about to air right now. There's like 40 episodes coming out. So they'll all be out right away. It's going to be a big barrage of entertainment for everybody. So
That's
yeah.
amazing. I'm so excited. I'm so excited for you. So much
Thank
going
you.
on, so much you've done. You're amazing as always. And thank you so much for coming on my show.
Thanks for having me, Helen. I love you long time.
Love you too. Bye, everybody.
Bye.